All right, what is up, fight fans? Ryan Jarrell here with Garrett Kerman and Greg Williams, and this is our NEF 46 preview show. We got a great show for you here today. We're going to have one half of the main event on first. Aaron Lacy will be joining us any minute to talk about his fight with Jerome Mickle. Also, we're going to have Glory, the Fury Watson, on the show. She's going to discuss her fight with Elizabeth or Ali Beth Milliron. And then we're going to have the head coach of Famoso BJJ, Jason Eric Bell, who his fighter Ryan Burgess is going to be facing Tyler Smythe for the amateur flyweight title. So a lot to get to today. And before we do bring Aaron on the show, Greg, I just wanted to first just get your excitement for next weekend's card. This, for my money, is one of the best cards that NEF has put on in quite a while.
Ryan, Garrett, good to see you guys. Great to be here. And yes, I researched this card, because obviously we're going to be talking about it. And what I found was, wow, so many great matchups, so many styles that match up, and it's hard to pick a winner. So I think we're gonna see a lot of fun fights. Obviously every NEF fight has these crazy highlights and unpredictable things, like Jay Ellis winning, a fight, one of his few fights that he's won. He's got not a great record, over 100 fights, and he wins at NEF. Like, that's a moment that stood out from the last time. So I'm looking for a lot of fun stuff, a fun night, and excitement. The fans are going to love it, no doubt.
Yeah. I'm really pumped for this one. Now, obviously, Aaron wasn't slated to be on this card. He's actually stepping in on short notice for Caleb Hall, who had a medical issue leading up to this fight. So hopefully all is well with Caleb Hall, and we'll see him back in the NEF cage soon. But this is great for Aaron, a guy that's been on the shelf for quite a while and is actually going to be back in there competing again in front of the main fans. So I'm really intrigued to see, how things are going for him down at Nostos MMA leading into this camp. You know those guys pretty well, Greg. How much do you feel like, just from an outsider? Oh, well, here he is. So why don't we just ask him himself? The relentless one, Aaron Lacy, is on the program. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, guys. How's it going today?
It is going fantastic. And we were just doing our intro for the show, and we were saying how you're stepping in on short notice, obviously.
Nice.
Because Caleb Hall is out. He had a medical issue leading up to this fight. So just run us through when you first found out about this last minute, fight for you here at NEF 46.
Well, I was getting ready for a return fight in Florida, actually, for another promotion. And that kind of fell through last minute, which obviously sucks. I've been training pretty hard for that, trying to get ready. And, so it was a couple days without a fight. And then, I spent most of my time here in New Hampshire at Nostos. So I haven't really been back to the Bangor area since about Christmas or so, just trying to really stay focused and make the necessary sacrifices to be successful. So, it's kind of bumming me out being away from home. So I took a day or two and I went home and just kind of hung out with my wife, watched some fights with some friends. And, while I was watching some fights, Devin Powell got a hold of me and presented me with the opportunity.
All right. And obviously it's been far too long since we have seen you inside of the cage. So just run us through how things are going for you down at Nostos. I mean, one of the best gyms in all of New England. How do you feel like your game is evolving?
It's been great being down here. There's a lot of talent in the room. I'm progressing as a fighter. I'm in great shape. So it's been a really, really good experience. I'm very happy to be down here. Devin's been a great coach. There's a lot of really good bodies in the room. There's a lot of talent in the room. There's a lot of guys that work really hard and sacrifice a lot of things in order to be successful. So it's a group of like-minded people. So really, we can go as far as we want to with that attitude and that mindset.
Now, Greg, I know you are a big fan of this guy, Aaron Lacy. The last event we were down in Portland, Maine, you made it very clear how much you look forward to watching this guy fight. So I'm sure you got a couple questions for Aaron.
Well, first of all, good to see you, Aaron. And it's I call him Aaron, my favorite fighter, too, Lacy. And he knows why. I know why. And Aaron, Aaron's like 7-2, 6-2 as a pro.
6-2, yeah.
6-2. But I remember when you fought Vavka Clay, and you could very easily. That was not, you weren't, I don't think, losing that fight. I mean, it might have been at the worst a toss up. So, you know, if that fight goes the other way, you got to Aaron. What happened to Aaron was he got a cut and the fight was stopped. But I mean, it wasn't like you were losing that fight. So, you know, you could very easily be
agree.
7-1. You agree, right? Yeah. So
yeah, I do agree. You know, it's just one of those things that, you know, cuts happen. You know, he's begging the ref to stop the fight because he couldn't see because of the blood, and you know, the doctor said I was good to go, but you know, Kevin was actually reffing the fight and he made a different call. So, but
yeah,
you know, he landed the shot. It was a legal shot, so you just got to suck it up and move on with life. You know, I don't really count that honestly as much of a loss. I think I was winning the fight. He couldn't take me down. You know, I checked one of his leg kicks and he fell over, and then I teeped him in the chest and he fell over again. And you know, I was having my way with him, and you know, if that cut didn't happen, you know, who knows, but
right.
it did, and that's life. Just got to move forward.
Right. I like Vavka too. Vavka's a good guy, and I think. But my point is that, you know, I love watching Aaron fight, and he's really, you know, such a top prospect in New England. He's, you know, 6-2, really kind of 7-1. I mean, he's a guy that I don't think too many people want to fight. And I don't know if we're going to get into your opponent right now, but I've seen that guy fight, and this isn't a walkover by any stretch. This guy, I saw him fight Nick Fiore, and he gave him a little bit of trouble early in the fight. So
he did, yeah.
It should be.
No one's a walkover in there, you know. Like you said earlier about Jay Ellis coming in, winning a fight. You know, you can't look past anybody. You can't discredit anything. Like, anybody can land a punch. Anybody can get knocked out. Like, it's one of those things where, you know, I have to come in there and execute my game plan just like any other fight.
Yeah, and when you do that, I think that's when I see that as being like what I like most about you is I see that you're able to execute your game plan in a lot of your fights. You really have a great head about yourself when you're in there, and you place shots really well. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to this fight. Yeah.
Me too.
That's what makes you one of my favorite fighters, if not the favorite.
You know, Aaron, one of the things, Aaron, that I feel like maybe a lot of the fans out there in Maine would like to know, not just Maine, but all of New England. I mean, you and I have talked a lot, you know, whether it's in interview form like this or even out in the real world. We've talked about, you know, your career, your fights. The last time you fought at Aura was against Damon Blackshear, and that fight did not go your way. You lost a UD to him, and that's a very tough guy. But you know, a lot of people I feel like want to know how you've evolved since then. Like, what did you take from that loss? How are you a better fighter now versus then?
So the biggest thing I took from that loss is I needed to make some mental adjustments in the fight that never really happened. So it was really just about a mentally growing experience, you know, pulling off of some certain shots and leaning more towards other ones, and, you know, maybe being a little bit more aggressive with the wrestling. Like, it was a pretty back and forth fight. And like you said, Damon's a super tough guy. He's fought for Bellator a few times now. You know, I saw some shots in there that I didn't take. Like, I hesitated, and you can't do that in this game. You know, you have to pull the trigger when you see it. And that's just one of the things I really learned from this fight. Being down here at Nose Toast, my game has done nothing but expand. You know, I'm better all around. Like, I'm in better shape. I have great bodies in the room to push me, talent wise, size wise, strength wise, skill wise. You know, I can just get a really good push and get prepared for anything down here. So, you know, I don't want to say too much about how I've evolved, because I'm just going to go out there and show it, because that's really, you know, more my styles. I don't really talk a lot of trash. I don't really say too much. You know, I just kind of go in there and handle business. And I think that's why I have the fan base that I have, because, you know, when they hear me saying something, they know it's not just like some, you know, load of crap. They know that it's what I'm coming with and what I'm really bringing, and, you know, I'm going to follow through with it.
And, you know, you have a teammate too that a lot of people are really intrigued to see back in the cage. Nate Grimard, he's making his pro debut. He lost his last fight for the title down at this very venue at the Aura. Talk a little bit about how he's looked in camp, and, you know, what we can expect to see from him in this fight against Anthony Vasta.
No, Nate's been doing great. He's one of my primary training partners. You know, we kind of circle ourselves around the room. Obviously, you have to get different looks, but a lot of the time, like when it gets closer to fight time, or we need somebody who's going to execute a certain game plan, and we can trust that they're not going to, you know, let their ego get involved in the training room and, you know, cause some injuries. Nate's kind of my go-to. So he's a really great wrestler. He's super tough on the ground. His stand-up has done nothing but get better. You know, I think with his last fight, it was really just kind of what I said about, you know, my loss to Damon, that he needed to make some mental adjustments and have a little bit more urgency in certain situations. And I feel like he's made those adjustments. So I think this fight with Anthony, he's going to show all of that off. You know, Anthony comes from a decent gym, trains with Connor Berry. So, you know Connor personally. I like him as a fighter and person. So, you know, I won't say too much as far as, you know, this fight with Anthony goes, but I think it's a very good matchup for Nate, and he's going to show a very well-rounded skill set, and he's going to start his pro career off the right way.
I love hearing that. And Greg, I don't know about you, but one of the things that has gone through my mind ever since Aaron Lacy has went to Nostos MMA is, have you and Devin gotten in there and really slung some leather with one another and sparred it all? Is that something that he's doing anymore? Because that would be some phenomenal training to actually just sit and watch. I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I just want to sit and watch you guys tangle.
Devin, definitely, we've gotten quite a few roles in. He's a very hands-on coach. He's dealing with some injuries, as you know, any retired fighter who fought at the level he fought at kind of has to deal with, you know. So some of the more live aspects, I do have to lean on some other people. But if I need a round on the ground or get some wrestling in, Devin's right there, ready to go. Very hands-on with the game plan. So he's definitely, you know, not out of shape. He's definitely kept himself sharp as far as the skill set goes. So he's a great guy to have in my corner, have as a coach, and have pushing me in the room.
You know what I like about Devin is his creativity. He's a very creative guy. Do you find that a lot? Like really thinks outside the box, does not think in a real linear fashion. Can you speak about that a little?
I definitely agree with you there, Greg. He has a very interesting point of view on fighting and an interesting philosophy about like how he teaches and how he evolves fighters. And I kind of vibe with it pretty well. You know, like some of these things, like, you know, you can teach anybody to throw like a 1-2, you know, standard boxing, like, you know, almost anybody can learn that. But to really hone somebody and evolve them, you do have to kind of think outside of the box like that. You can't just be like, oh, this guy's always lost this way, so he's going to continue to lose this way. You know, if someone's respectful of themselves and their career and their skill set, then they're going to try to evolve. So, you know, you have to find a way to still put them in the area where you feel they're weak, but in maybe like a different manner, or, you know, setting stuff up a certain way that they might not have seen before. So, you know, I get texts from him every so often. I mean, well, actually quite regularly, honestly, about like, hey, I see this, like, we're going to work this. Hey, I see this, we're going to do this. And, you know, it's something that like I just put into practice. We go over a few times on pads or drill it with each other. And then, you know, I get into a live training scenario and I just try to execute it over and over and over. And, you know, 10,000 reps, man, you got to have 10,000 reps before something's in there. So just rep it till you kill it. Drillers make killers. So, you know, it's been great having him in my corner and listening to his point of views on life and fighting and my career. And, you know, he's been all around the world, fought for UFC, Bellator, WSOF before it became PFL. And, you know, so he's seen the who's who and the what's what of the MMA game. And, you know, he speaks very highly of my skill set and the things I bring to the gym and to the cage. So it's been great having him in my corner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think, you know, I'll end it with, you know, talking about Devin's creativity, but I think that not only makes him, you know, a good coach for you, but it makes him a good coach all around when he uses he has all that knowledge and experience and use that in creative ways with his fighters. And I know that he's continually growing as a coach. I mean, he's just going to get better as a coach as he puts more and more time in. And
he's
great.
Going to do fantastic. You know, that was like one of his main reasons for kind of like retiring, is he didn't like all the time he had to spend away from Nostos to get himself ready to compete. You know, he didn't like leaving the gym in someone else's hands and, their points of view. Not that he doesn't trust his coaching staff, but it's something he very much so prides himself in. It's, you know, it's his name. The Nostos is like his thing, his gym, his guys that he's trying to get ready. So, you know, he's got a lot of pride in his gym, and he puts a lot of effort and energies in here every single day, multiple times a day, working with everybody. Like, everybody that's fighting on this card has got a different game plan, has got different stuff from him, and has evolved in different ways under his tutelage.
Yeah, I feel this. I mean, I totally understand. I'm the same way in my gym. So yeah, that's awesome.
And you have to be a successful coach. You
Yeah.
can't have cookie cutter fighters. Cookie cutter fighters are easy to beat. You know, if everybody's got stand up but no ground game, what do you think is going to happen? If everybody's got all ground game and no stand up, same thing.
Amen.
You know, you have to evolve people and have a well rounded skill set.
Yeah, and you got to look at the individual, not the not a plan, but plan for the individual. So yeah.
Very true.
All right, so Aaron, we're a week out right now. This fight's going to be at 155. What is the weight right now? I got to imagine you're pretty close to being right on weight. Did we lose you there? Could you hear my question?
So I'm guessing you asked me about my weight and how the fight's at 155 and all that. It's kind of what came through. Yeah, we broke up there, you know, bad internet connection for a second. I mean, the weight cut is gonna be easy. Like, I manage my weight well. I eat healthy all the time. Like, you know, I've had a long layoff, but it's not like I've ever been out of shape. I mean, you've seen me multiple times throughout the layoff, and I mean, you've never seen me put on a bunch of weight and eat a bunch of garbage food. You know, I enjoy a healthy lifestyle, and I enjoy working out, and it just so happens the avenue of working out that I enjoy the most is MMA. So, you know, like, I keep myself sharp, I keep myself on point for the weight cut. And, you know, 155 is not something I'm looking at as a long-term career move. It was really just for this fight. You know, I'm not a 55er. I'm on the smaller end of some of these 45ers. You know, the fight I was getting ready for in Florida was actually at 140 pounds. So, like, the weight's on point. It's ready to go. I'm not going to be too depleted or dehydrated, but I'm going to be coming in strong. You know, everybody I train with says I feel super strong. You know, I'm getting lighter and I'm getting stronger and I'm getting faster. So that's really all I can ask for.
You know, this is one of those fights too, Aaron. From an outsider looking in, I feel like it's borderline a tricky fight for someone in your shoes. You're 6-2 as a pro. Your opponent is 4-11. He's on a 6 or 7 fight losing streak, if I'm not mistaken. Do you feel that added pressure to go in there and make sure you finish this guy, or at least get the W?
I mean, there's always pressure for everything, like, especially fighting. Like, it's a super mental sport. Like, people don't realize that, like, you can have all the physical gifts in the world, and it really just comes down to, like, where you are at mentally. So, you know, I'm not really stressing the fight too much right now. Like, it's still being a week out. Like, I've done this a number of times, and so I know that, like, if I start stressing out now, it's just going to cause a whole bunch of issues. So, you know, I'll be a little stressed come weigh-ins, come fight day, like, you know, like a normal person. Like, if you don't have these nerves, like, you're just kind of dead. And, like, this is something that makes you feel truly alive. But I'm not putting any extra pressure on myself. The only pressure I'm putting on myself is to go out there and perform and execute my game plan. And if that happens, like, I know what the result's going to be. So I'm not looking at it as like, oh, this guy's lost so many times like this. Like, he's got some weapons that he brings to the table. And my job is to make sure he doesn't have the opportunity to utilize those weapons. And we'll put him in my world where my weapons are sharper than his, and we'll go to battle.
All right. So last question here, Aaron. When you look at his skill set, what he does bring to the table, stylistically, what kind of a fight are you expecting at NEF 46? And give us your ultimate prediction. How do you get your hand raised?
I mean, he's very wild. Like, he comes in aggressive, comes in hot. Seems like he's got a decent amount of power, really looking to kind of lay the hurt down, I guess you could say. But it's not the first time at all that I've faced somebody with that kind of style. I think he leaves a lot of holes, technically, offensively, defensively. So, you know, I'm just going to look to exploit those. And honestly, like, I'm just going to take him into deep waters and drown him, whether it's in the first round, second round, whatever. I see TKO, coming, and if he leaves his neck open, I'm going to snatch his neck and sub him. Either way, I think I'm getting it done inside of the distance.
All right, man. I can't wait to actually see you compete again in person. It's been far too long, my friend, since you have fought last. Again, NEF 46 next Saturday down in Portland, Maine at the Aura nightclub. Aaron, Lacy, Jerome, Mickle. Aaron, it's always great talking to you, buddy. Before we let you go, I want to give you the floor as always. Tell people where to follow you on social media, and if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
Awesome, Ryan. Thank you. Yeah, we got social media like Facebook. You can follow me personally, Aaron Lacy, or Aaron Relentless Lacy is my fight page. I'm not really so good about that stuff, so I'm trying to get better at it, trying to work a little bit more on, promoting myself through social media and all that. I've just kind of really been focusing in on this fight. I've got a couple sponsors for this one, running kind of small as far as sponsors go, because it came up last minute, so I wasn't really sitting out here pumping the sponsor train. But Jen Moon at Sea of Tranquility Massage back up in Bangor. I go up there once a month or so, as long as I have time, and she gets me all straightened out. She's a great masseuse, great person, really great person to have in my corner, help with my recovery. And then I have York's Barbershop. My man Jeremy down here owns his own barbershop. He, hit me up once he heard about the fight and asked me if I needed anything. And I told him, hey man, I got to get these medicals done. Here's what it costs. And he's like, I got you covered. So, he helped me get my medicals done. So Jeremy's awesome. So if you're in the area, check out York's Barbershop. And if you're back up in my hometown of Bangor, definitely check out Sea of Tranquility Massage and hit Jen up.
Awesome, Aaron. We look forward to seeing you next weekend, buddy. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your day.
Good.
Awesome. It's good to be here, guys. Thank you.
Good seeing you, Aaron. See you next week, buddy.
See you, Greg. It's good seeing you, man.
Always.
All right, and there he goes, Aaron Lacy. Man, oh man, he looks dialed in and focused. And Garrett, if you haven't seen this guy fight before, his nickname is Relentless. And it's Relentless for a reason. He's so durable. He comes forward. He's tough as nails, and he hasn't fought in like 2.5, 3 years. So he's going to be eagerly anticipating to step back inside the NEF cage and get a W.
It looks like we got a couple more people coming on the show with us. Let's get them right on.
All right.
Hey, what's going on?
Hi, guys.
What's up, everyone?
Hey.
All right.
Turn my volume up.
And there she is, Glory Watson, our next guest. And we also have our third co-host here, Mike Shorey, who just joined as well. Mikey, thanks for being on here, buddy.
No problem.
All right. Glory, how are you? I know this camp has been going on for a little while. We're winding down. We're a week out from fight night. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. This morning was my last quote-unquote hard workout, so I'm pretty exhausted. I literally just got up from a nap, so I'm doing it.
Well, we definitely appreciate you joining us. I know I've seen you a few times throughout this camp. You've been getting a lot of working with BJ and Rich. Tell me a little bit about how things have been going in this camp.
Everything's going really well. We've ended up traveling a lot more than I normally do throughout this camp. I travel to usually 3 times a week to Central Maine Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and to Rumford to train with Jason Bell and Ryan Burgess, who's fighting Tyler Smythe for the title. So it's been a really good camp. We've had some really great people involved.
Yeah, and we have JB coming on next. I'm really excited to have him on the show, just as long as he doesn't hate on my guy Tom Brady and the Patriots, but that's a story for another day.
There's no guarantees of that. There's no guarantees.
I told him, we talked about this beforehand. I was like, you got to keep that Patriots Brady trash talk to a minimum. Mike, before we move any further, I know you have a couple of questions for Glory, so the floor is yours, buddy. Ask her what you need.
I do. Just some basic questions. Who's your favorite MMA fighter? Whether it be regional or UFC or
that's a really hard question. Ryan actually knows this. I'm terrible about following like fighters like the UFC and Bellator and all of these things. I might be able to name like 10 female fighters in my weight division, maybe, but based on what I know, I would say probably my favorite fighter is Rose Namajunas. I really like her style, and I really like the a lot of like how she carries herself. I really do think that she's a fantastic person.
Yeah, I like her striking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan as well. And do you have a prediction for your fight?
No, not at all. Because coach hasn't really told me a game plan either. There's not like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. It's kind of, we base the entire camp around the idea that this is what we will do, but he doesn't tell me. So it's like, I've just been training these different things and then hopefully they come out.
Nice.
All right. And Gloria, Greg Williams and myself will be there cage side doing the commentary just as we were last time. I know, Greg, we talked about Gloria a handful of times and how excited we are to see her back in action. What do you have for the Fury?
I want to know, I mean, I love the fact that you take hard fights, you know, like I know, and I have an idea that you want to go somewhere in this sport, right?
Most
So
definitely.
if you want, and I know your coach, he's a great coach. And I know if you want to go somewhere, you got to beat the top people. And the girl you're fighting is a tough fighter. She's 2-0 and she's a winner. So this is a tough fight. And I applaud you for taking this tough fight. And I was going to go to see you at your last fight. I know it got canceled down in New York because that was like literally around the corner from my brother's house. And I was going to go down and watch you, but it never happened. But if you ever fight down there, I'm a fan of yours, you know. I like, you know me. I'm in the back room. I always love to watch you fight. Much respect to you, and much respect to you and your coaches for taking tough fights because you want to go somewhere. So I think it's a really good role model for people to see. You know, you want to be good, train hard, fight good fighters.
Well, thank you very much. That really does mean a lot because you are right. The goal is to go somewhere with this. I don't want to be just a regional fighter. I don't want to, like, would it be amazing to hold a regional title? Yes, of course. Yeah. But making it to the next tier and being right now the only active professional female in the state of Maine, it would be fantastic to kind of be that name that's on the map next for the state of Maine, especially for women.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you're doing it. So thank you for leading the way.
I'm doing my best.
You're doing good.
And, you know, to piggyback off of what Greg just said, you know, talking about taking tough fights, you know, your opponent, Ali Beth Miliron, she actually went out there and you know, she beat a tough Tara Graf, a girl that, you know, I know you don't know fighter names that well, Glory, but Tara Graf, she's fought in Bellator. She's extremely tough. I mean, she's been in there with Valerie Loreda, Diana of Saragova. I mean, she's legit. And so, you know, your opponent, she's 2-0 as a pro right now. What have you heard about her skill set, about what she brings to the table? What kind of a fight are you expecting at NEF 46?
Honestly, I have no idea what's going to come out because I don't know what her game plan is. Looking back on some of my fights, sometimes I look like a striker, sometimes I look like a grappler, sometimes I look like a wrestler. I change so much, so I don't know what her coaches are viewing as my weakest point and is going to be the best way for her to beat me. And I'm just kind of prepared for anything. We've been working on absolutely everything and just kind of presenting that, but I'm really expecting it to be a brawl.
Yeah, and both of her wins are by way of knockout, you know, punches. So she's clearly as well versed on the feet. Do you feel like your evolution in your stand-up skill set has evolved to a point where if this is a fight that stays on the feet, you feel really comfortable going in there and tangling with someone of her level?
Of course, there's no way to ever say like, oh, yes, I'm comfortable doing this because there is that certain uncertainty that exists. You never know. Anyone can get caught. Like the girls that she's fought in the past, there's potential that they made a small mistake that they'd been working in their camp and she just capitalized on it and they may have been comfortable on their feet. I guess all I can do is go in being confident with the skills I have. And regardless of where it goes, I have to have confidence with it.
Yeah, no, very, very, very well said. And this fight, Glory, is at 115. I know you're so disciplined with your diet. I see you in there eating scrambled eggs that you make prior to coming in to train in the morning. So what's the weight at right now? We're a week out.
This morning, I dropped 1.5 pounds at our morning workout. So after workout, I was 8 pounds out. So I'm sitting pretty right now in a good spot.
Yeah, and Kira said that, I was asking about saunas. I want to get a sauna for my house because I miss being in them on a regular basis, and the one at the Y is broken every other day. So she was mentioning the sauna beds where you zip it up. She said you use that. How well does it work? Like, give me some pointers as to what to go buy if that's something that I wanted to do.
It's terrible in the best way. So it is hot. It gets really hot, and just because you are so wrapped up in it, it really raises your internal temperature the way like an infrared sauna would. I prefer it to a traditional sauna because I can leave my head out. So I'm not like suffocating, breathing in that really hot air, and I'm still raising my internal temperature enough to sweat and do all of those things. And I can lay there and do nothing. And that's kind of my thing. I like that. I like to rest when it's time to cut weight. But okay. I didn't have like a particular brand that I bought. I bought one off Amazon. I think we bought one that was, Kira is all about reviews. She's like, how are the reviews? How are the reviews? And she checked it. She probably spent 2 or 3 days looking for one that she thought would be the best. And when we found it, it was purple, and that's my favorite color. So that's the one we went with.
Okay, I think I'm sold. Between you and Kira, I think that's the road I need to go. Now, before we transition and just talk a little bit more about next Saturday, I do want to get your thoughts on how Ryan Burgess is looking in camp. I'm really excited for this fight with Tyler Smythe. Obviously, it's for a title, so there's even more on the line. Just give us a little bit more insight as to how he's looking when you do see him and work with him.
So I've been working with Ryan basically since the very beginning of my pro career, a little before that. I started training with Ryan, I think, over a year ago. And since that point, he has grown monumentally. His striking in particular has grown so much. His wrestling background has always been there. And then working with JB, his jiu-jitsu has gotten so much better every single time I go down there. He catches me in these weird moments where I'm like, I'm safe. Turns out I'm not. But I don't have anything but positive things to say about Ryan's growth and how he looks as a fighter. And when it comes to his opponent, one of my cousins lives down in the Portland area and trains at Evolution, and he has nothing but great things to say about Tyler Smythe's training and his performance and all of these things. So I really think it's going to be a fantastic fight, and I think Ryan just might have a little bit of an edge up. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
All right, Greg, jump in here. You got anything else for Glory?
No, I mean, I do. I like that fight a lot. The Ryan Burgess, Taylor Smythe fight, but it's not going to be. It's part of this great card. There's so many great fights. I'm looking forward very much to your fight, and I want to see you execute. Your game plan or lack of a game plan as you have right now, and just see you really go out and be the best that you can be. I know a great coach gets his people ready, and you'll be ready as you always are. So good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Always.
All right, Mr. Shorey, anything else for Glory?
No, I was going to be wearing my Fury shirt. Somebody forgot to tell me we were starting at 1:30 instead of 2:30. But it is.
That's my fault. That's my bad. I got to take
behind me.
Minus 1 point for Ryan.
But I'm definitely a fan, and I'm looking forward to seeing the fight.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
All right, Glory. As always, it's great talking to you. Before we let you go, I want to give you the floor. I know you have about 18 sponsors to thank and a lot of people to thank that support you. So go ahead. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. So sponsors, my list is way too long. I can't even, to name them all off would take me probably 25 minutes because of course I can't just be like 1, 2, 3, 4 and be like, have to say something about each one because that's what I do. I just can't stop talking. So sponsors, I will actually, when we share this, I will attach my list of sponsors onto that and make sure they're all tagged and they get the recognition that they deserve. I wouldn't be able to do what I love every single day without all of them. So continuing on, my team has been phenomenal through all of this. My coaches, everywhere that I've traveled to has been super welcoming. I've worked with Jesse Erickson. I've worked with a lot of the guys that have fought or are fighting through Central Maine Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've trained at Nostis some. we really do jump around as much as we can to try to get different looks, different bodies, different techniques. And I am just so thankful for the community, the MMA community here in the state of Maine, and jumping just over the New Hampshire line to Nostis. Really, really lucky that I have the support team that I do, and I'm just so thankful for them.
Awesome. Very well said, Glory. Always great having you in for an interview and having you on this show here today. We'll see you next Saturday. Best of skill come fight night. And looking forward to seeing you down there at the Aura nightclub.
Thank you very much, Ryan. I'll see you guys on Saturday.
All right, and there she goes, Glory Watson. That's going to be an interesting fight. You know, as you were saying too, Greg, she doesn't take easy fights, and she's going up against a girl that's 2-0. Glory is 1-1 now as a professional, so this is a big fight for her. She's got to go in there, and she's got to get a win, and a win over taking someone's O. That's a big deal. So I'm really intrigued about this one.
I agree, and you know, I looked at that last fight. Her opponent's last fight, that was a king of the cage too. That's a big event. That's a big show. So this girl from Michigan that's coming out here, she's going to be ready. Yep. Yeah, she's definitely going to be ready.
All right. Excited. So before we bring on Jason Eric Bell, the head coach, owner of Famoso BJJ, Mike, let's talk NEF 46, man. I'm really pumped for next Saturday. I know initially you were supposed to be there. Are you still going to be able to make it down to Portland?
They had to reschedule because I got COVID. They had to reschedule some of my chemo. I'm hoping to still be there, depending on how I feel. I'm still fighting the after effects of COVID right now with no immune system. So, but okay. I'm bulletproof, so they can't take me out yet.
Yes, sir. Well, geez, you know, all of us in the MMA community are obviously thinking about you, praying for you, and you are bulletproof, man. You're tough as they come. Hopefully, we do get to see you down there cage side. So, shout out to Matt Peterson, Nick DeSalvo, and the NEF, and also New England MMA, Lars, Travis, Steve, for going out there and you know, getting tickets for you to be sitting cage side. So, when you look at the card, Mike, obviously we just talked to Glory. We had Aaron Lacy on before you came on the show. What other fights stand out to you? What are you really looking forward to see?
I'm really looking forward to seeing Aaron Lacy back in there again because it's been a while. I rank him up there pretty high as far as New England fighters, and it's kind of been a bummer that he's been gone since 2018 was his last fight. Obviously, the Glory fight. There's a few of the amateur fights I'm looking forward to. I had a chance to look at a few of them. Obviously, the Ryan Burgess fights, I was a fan of his. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I think he wins the title. I really think he comes away with a win on that one. The rest of them, I honestly don't know a lot about. I tried to do a little research on them, but quite a few of them I haven't even heard of before.
Well, I know there's another title that's on the line, the 170-pound amateur title, Mike Murray and Zach Faulkner. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that one. Greg, from your perspective, from a coaching perspective, what do you think we're going to see from Murray and Faulkner at NEF 46?
Well, that's interesting because my guy, Mike Bezanson, holds the 170 title right now. I mean, he's vacating it because he's going pro. And I'm really interested to see this fight. I think both of these guys are just really tough, right? Like Zach Faulkner, tough guy, long history of going from different, you know, he's traveled around quite a bit down in Florida and up the coast a little bit. Started with Marcus Davis, and he's doing great things. And so is Mike Murray. I think they are, this is a legitimate 170 title, and I'm looking forward to it big time. I really, you know, I have my opinions. I don't want to give it out right now. I mean, I think, I don't know. I think I give the edge. I will give it out right now. Let's do that. I'll give the edge to Faulkner for his striking because I think they match up evenly on the ground, and I think Zach's a better striker. So nothing to take away from Mike Murray, but it's going to be a great fight, and I think Faulkner's a better striker, so I think he'll fare better in this fight with that slight edge.
Okay. Well, again, that's why they fight. I'm looking forward to that one down in Portland, Maine. One thing that I wanted to get your take on too, Greg, I wanted you to elaborate a little bit more. This is a fight that I'm looking forward to. David McCarty looked like an absolute animal in his debut at NEF 45. Now he's taking on Jeff Reynolds at 185 pounds. First of all, I don't know how he could even make 185. I feel like the guy walks around at 250. He's a monster of a man. So the fact that he's even getting down to middleweight is crazy to me. But tell me about this fight with Jeff Reynolds. You know more about him than I do. What kind of a fight can we see in this one?
Well, let's break it down to the coaching, right? Or where's David McCarty fighting out of?
Titan Athletics.
He's fighting out of Titan, right? So obviously good wrestling skills. Big dude. You and I were both like amazed when he just manhandled his first opponent. I think he won in 30-something seconds and picked him up, dumped him to the mat, ground and pound. It was done in like 30. So he was just an absolute monster in there. And both of us were shaking our heads going, how did this guy make weight? He looked big. So he's the specimen. The other guy, we're talking about Jeff Reynolds. He's another guy who is big, athletic. He's jacked. And I watched him fight for another organization, and I was completely impressed. And he's one of those guys that was on my radar. It's like, watch out for this guy. When you watch amateurs fight, and I mean, I watch a lot of amateur fights and obviously pro fights, but I really look at amateurs and I watch when they miss a punch. How is their balance when they miss? Because you don't land every strike. So when you don't land a strike, I watch for their balance, and that's a really good sign of a well-trained or a good striker. If they're in balance after they throw their strike and able to transition to another strike, without overthrowing, it tells me that they put a lot of time in and they have good striking skills. Jeff Reynolds is one of those guys. His boxing looked great, and I know that he's a wrestler. So it looked like his last fight, his boxing was really on point, and I know he's got good wrestling to back it up. McCarty, we didn't see any of his boxing skills or striking skills because he just grappled, took this guy up in the air and dropped him on his back and finished it. So I think we're looking at two great wrestlers, and who's going to dictate the fight? We don't know. I think this is fight of the night. I have marked on my cards as fight of the night. So hold me to it and tell me if this isn't going to be fight of the night when it's all said and done.
All right. Okay. I'm really looking forward to that one. And Garrett, I believe JB should be coming in any second now. Do we have him yet?
Not just yet. I believe we should be getting him shortly. We'll be seeing him in the green screen. Once he gets in the green screen, I will pop him in right to the stream.
I will. I'm texting him right now. He said he's good to go, so we should have him here in a minute. And again, for anyone that doesn't know, JB is Ryan Burgess's head coach. He'll be in the corner for this 125-pound title fight with the champion, Tyler Smythe. So I'm really intrigued to hear, from a coaching perspective, what Jason has to say about how Ryan's looking, especially with so much time off. He's been off for a while now. Pretty much, I feel like the same duration or a little bit longer than even Aaron Lacy. So Ryan Burgess making his return to action and trying to get that title wrapped around his waist. So that is a really intriguing matchup. Again, just running down the lineup here, we have Zach Richard and Urias Ocario, 140-pound matchup. Talked a little bit about Nate Grimard and Anthony Vasta earlier, both of them making the pro debut at 145 pounds. Ben Grady, Brandon Mallet-Fevens, Mohammed Al-Kanani, and Chris Rooney. Man, that's a guy that I cannot wait to see make his pro debut. Garrett, when I tell you Mo Al-Kanani, remember that name. This is a guy that we could see at the next level. He was undefeated as an amateur. He had the NEF title. He was pound for pound, #1 at 155 in New England for amateurs. This guy is so good. He's so well-rounded, and he's finally making the pro rank. So I cannot wait for that one. That's a fight, Greg, that I have circled because I want to see how Mo looks as he turns pro.
Yeah, he's fighting Chris Rooney, who I know very well. One of my fighters fought his wife, Kat Rooney, and I'm being so close. I live on the border of Maine. I'm sorry, I live in New Hampshire, as my hat says right here. I live on the border of New Hampshire and Vermont, and I'm really familiar with the Vermont fighters, and I know Chris Rooney. And what Mo Kanai is facing here is a veteran. You know, Chris Rooney's been around for a long, long time, fighting for a long, long time. He's seen a lot. The competition, the caliber isn't, or hasn't been in the past all that great in Vermont. There's been some great fighters, don't get me wrong, but the shows don't have a commission in Vermont. So I was always leery of putting some fighters in there. You know, I did once in a while. It would be rare, but without a commission, I was a little skeptical of putting fighters in there. Needless to say, they do have some good fighters. Chris Rooney's been fighting for a long time, and that's what Mo's facing. He's facing experience, and Mo is a well-rounded fighter. He's great. He's a really he's good on all levels, up, down, everything. He's well coached. He's very mature for his time in the ring. He's got a really good ring presence. So I think it'll be a great fight. Also, I love it. You know, I give the nod to Mo, though. Mo is on a trajectory going up, and we'll see where Chris Rooney's at. We'll see.
Now, Mike, you must have watched Mo Kanani fight. This guy is a monster, and as we talked, making his pro debut. What do you have to say about what you've seen from him inside of the cage?
I honestly didn't see him fight last time that I recall, but I did do some research on him, and they've actually got him ranked #1 in the Northeast, if I'm correct, not just New England. But I also know Chris Rooney's got it seems like it was 12 amateur wins or something like that. So it's going to be a good fight. 6 of 9 of Al Canini's wins were by finish. So obviously that's going to come into play. But I see him, Al Canini, winning the fight.
Yeah. Again, I cannot wait to see him back in the cage. Also, a lightweight bout, Cody Kilton and Caleb Kenny. Both of these guys looking to notch a win here at 155. John Assam and Justin Kangas. That's a fight that I'm intrigued about. Both of these guys are NEF veterans. Assam 2-3. Kangas is 0-3, but he's super tall and long for 170. I think he's north of 6 feet. So that's an intriguing matchup. Greg, when you look at that one, I know we've seen both of these guys fight, especially lately, very recently for NEF. How excited are you for this one?
You know, I have this one. I wrote down for this one that these guys are stylistically like they're mirror images of each other. When they lose like the same way. You know, when they win, they kind of win the same way. Well, he hasn't won yet, but when he's doing well, Justin Kangas, when he's doing well, it looks like John Assam. So these are, let's face it, these two guys are strikers. If you watch their past fights, they like to go in there and throw down. What's going to happen if Justin stays true to form, if you watch his fights, he always comes out blazing. He always comes out looking to push the pace in the first 5 seconds of the fight. And I think that John Assam, you know, he knows that. So when they start throwing down, this is going to be fireworks. I think this is going to be a stand up battle. Whoever can get to the other guy's chin first. They seem to have like almost equal power, almost an equal build. They're both long and lanky. And I think this is going to be a really fan-friendly fight. I don't think it's going to the ground. I think they're going to play rock'em sock'em robots. For sure.
Nothing wrong with that. That'll be something that the fans are going to like. And we have some fighters making their debuts as well. Quinn Poirier meets Key Baltazar at 125 pounds. We have Nick LeGrand meeting Jack Burke. That's a heavyweight bout. Let me tell you something real quick, guys. Nick LeGrand, I have never seen him in person, but he trains at Young's MMA. He's there in the evenings the majority of the time, from what Chris Young tells me. This guy apparently is terrifying. I mean, anyone that's fighting at heavyweight, you know they're a big boy, so they're going to get in there and have some power. But this guy is he's aggressive. He's strong as an ox. And Chris Young has talked a lot about how excited he is to see Nick LeGrand make his MMA debut. So that right there is a fight to circle and keep your eyes on it. And who doesn't like watching the heavyweights fight, right? I mean, come on, we all like watching the heavyweights get in there and tangle. So you have that fight at heavyweight, then move to a featherweight bout. Ryan Savage and William Lagasse. Middleweight card about David McCarty, Jeff Reynolds. We already talked about that one. And then Will Smith and Mike Joliser, featherweight bout. And the last one is Chris Willett and Christopher Smith at 175 pounds. So that is the entire card. And JB just texted me. He's 1 minute out, so he'll be joining us here in 1 minute. But again, top to bottom, guys, this really is one of the better cards that New England Fights has put out in a while. I would have liked to have seen Ryan Sanders in there. It's been a while since we've seen him fight. Yeah. Like to see the Ryan Sanders back in there. And that's another thing. Not one fighter from Vision Quest Muay Thai.
I was going to ask about that. I was going to ask you if you know anything. Why they had a bunch of guys on the last couple of cards. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I know Tim Murray was supposed to fight, and his fight is off. He had to pull out of that fight. So outside of that, let's see. Brett Martin and Jordan Jones, that fight is canceled. Carl Langston and Sean Ray. Ray pulled out. Caleb Austin obviously is out with Josh Madoris. Obviously, Caleb Hall, the main event, he had that medical issue. So Aaron Lacy steps in to face Jerome Mickle. Yeah, Murray and Poirier's off, and Malat Fevens was supposed to fight Emmett Huber. So those were all of the matchups that were on Tapology that have fizzled and are no longer happening. So, I'm sure that we'll see plenty of Vision Quest fighters on the next card. I have no doubt Primo's going to have these guys on there because they're really building quite a squad there in Newport. Yeah,
I hope so. I really like Primo, and I like what he's doing there, and it's always seemed like it seems like it's a real good vibe up there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And Mike, you know those guys pretty well, right? I mean, you're from that general area. Newport is kind of close to where you're at, right?
Yeah, they're 45 minutes away, but I have been over there. I do want to give Vision Quest a shout out because they did a toy drive this year, and basically Primo decided that Mikey would get it all rather than spread it out amongst kids. So he had an absolutely phenomenal Christmas from Vision Quest. I am sad that they had a fighter drop, but like you said, I'm sure next card they're going to have a lot of fighters on there.
Yeah, I have no doubt there. Mike, before we bring JB on, give me your pick for next Saturday's UFC main event. Robert Whitaker, Israel Adesanya. Who do you see winning?
From a fan standpoint, I got to go with Whitaker. Realistically, I don't see him winning it. I can't tell you what round or anything like that.
Yeah, Adesanya is the real deal. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch that main event. I'm sure that doesn't go off till 12 or 12:30 in the morning. So the NEF event will be done by then. But that's on the very same night, February the 12th. But we will be at the Aura Nightclub in Portland, Maine for this exciting card. All right, Garrett, still nothing from JB.
Not yet. Hoping, soon. But I'm sure once he gets on here, I'll pop him right in so we can get it going.
Okay. Well, all right. So we're still waiting on him.
But I want to know about this fight card coming up. Who do you think is the top prospect on the entire fight card as far as amateurs, pros? Who do you think could possibly be the next big thing out of all these fights and fighters?
Greg, why don't you lead off with that one?
Yeah, well, Aaron Lacy, I've always, like I say, he's one of my favorite. But like I said before, I think that Jeff Reynolds, David McCarty fight, they're very young in their careers, but I was really, really impressed with Jeff Reynolds. So he's one guy that I think, might be able to go to a higher level. I know. Let's see who else we got. Anthony Vasta, Nate Grimard. I think that fight might show somebody going to up a level. Mo, how do you say Kanini?
Yeah, Mo Kanani.
I mean, that dude's on the trajectory to go places. So, and of course, Glory Watson. I'm just really a fan of these guys from our local shows going further. So, guys and girls, and Glory being one of the few. Yeah. I hope she can go far, and she's got a tough fight. I'm really, really excited to see this, because she steps up. When she fought Hillary, what's her name? Hillary
Rose.
Hillary Rose, yeah. When she fought Hillary Rose, it was a tough fight. She lost. I think it was a kickboxing match, right, Ryan? I don't think it was MMA, strictly kickboxing. And what a great fight, and shows. And Hillary's been to the UFC, Contender Series. So, she can stand with the best. Let's see her make that next jump to the next level.
Yeah. And JB just confirmed he's not coming on. Something came up with his phone, so he's out of the show for today, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get him the next time that we do one of these shows. But to piggyback on what you're saying and what your question was, Garrett, about who do I feel like is the biggest prospect for me as far as pros go? I mean, Aaron Lacy, you got to mention him. I mean, he's 6-2 for a reason. He's an absolute dog. I'm intrigued to see, how Glory Watson's pro career evolves. She's 1-1 right now, so she's got some work to do to get a record that is, UFC ready. And it starts with this next fight, so she needs to get a win here. Mohamed El Kanani. We sound like a broken record talking about the same people, but that guy, I feel like his trajectory is very high. Zach Richard, I think, he's an unbelievable wrestler. He looked good against Carl Langston. He's 1-0 now as a pro. I'm intrigued to see what happens there. And when I look down at the amateur ranks, Zach Faulkner and Mike Murray are both dynamic. Faulkner, you like his striking a little bit better. Mike Murray is very dynamic. He's got great kicks. He's a super athletic guy. So, he's, your amateur career is to grow as a fighter before you turn pro. So, he's still super young. He could turn into someone to keep your eyes on too, as is Zach Faulkner. So a lot of people to really look for here in this fight. David McCarty, after seeing what he did in his debut, I mean, who knows what the ceiling is like for that monster. But yeah, again, really, really great card. NEF 46 happens next Saturday, February the 12th at the Aura Nightclub in Portland, Maine. That pretty much does it from my perspective. We've had a couple of great guests on today. We've talked about the show, the event a lot. Mike, Greg, is there anything else that you guys have in particular that you want to talk about before we sign off?
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm really looking forward to the Cody Kilton Caleb Kenny fight. For some reason, I know it's further down on the card, but I like Caleb. He's a tall, long fighter, and he's really going to be going for the win. I don't know if you noticed, but Team Nightmare and Johnny and his son actually hooked me up with a pretty cool profile picture, kind of like a fighter poster. So I got to give them a shout out. But yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this. My son's birthday's today. He turns 9 years old. Little Mikey's 9. So, and he's into the MMA thing. Hopefully, if I do get to the fight next weekend, he's going to be with me. So should be an exciting time.
Yeah, happy birthday, little Mikey. Make sure you let him know we all said that.
Definitely.
Yeah, Mikey, happy birthday. And I like that Cody Kilton, Caleb Kenny fight also. On the last card, we fought both of those guys. Yeah. We had a loss to Cody Kilton, and we had a win over Caleb Kenny, and that was kind of an exciting fight. He's tough. I see Cody Kilton in that one. Just a little more, from what I see, a little more grit. Maybe Caleb Kenny comes into it after a few more years of training. But I see Cody Kilton winning that one, probably with wrestling and ground and pound. Probably don't want to stand there and strike with a long, lanky fighter like him. But yeah, I like that fight as well. It's interesting to watch. And as far as everything else, I think the David McCarty, Jeff Reynolds fight, remember I said it here. Go back and play this tape later after the card on Super Bowl Sunday when it's all over. And I said that will be fight of the night. Mark my words.
Okay. I'm gonna differ with you on fight of the night. I feel like that fight could end in a finish. My fight of the night is gonna be one of the title fights. I feel like Faulkner and Murray are pretty evenly matched, and I feel Smythe and Burgess, could very well be evenly matched. And there's some bad blood there, so they're both gonna be coming for it, looking to take one another's head off. So those are the two title fights to me. Man, those are what I'm looking forward to the most, especially from the amateur aspect. First, I just want to thank all of you guys for taking time and doing this today. Hopefully, we'll be able to do this more moving forward. And I got to give a huge shout out to my friend and my business partner here, a guy that I'm growing, doing a lot more MMA content with, Garrett Kerman, the fight analyst. You can see the hat on there, TFA. This guy knows his betting, so make sure you follow his YouTube channel, The Fight Analyst, for all of your picks, and you can win some money on DraftKings or putting parlays together, or whatever they want to do, right, Garrett?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate that. I love the sport just as everybody here, and I'm glad to be a part of this and hopefully grow this thing even more. And like every single time we have an event, we'll get together, talk it out, get some fighters on, and show these fighters, give them a platform to really grow their audience and get their name out there for people, not just in the Northeast, but everywhere else can really, know who they are and, tune in and just watch their careers grow.
Absolutely. Very well said, buddy. Well, thanks again for taking time out of your Saturday to do this. Mike, thank you for joining and being here. You'll have to come the next time we do this. You promise to come back and give us your 2 cents next time?
Sure. This is fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. And Greg, what can I say? I can't wait to see your handsome face next Saturday at the Aura nightclub, buddy. We're going to have a good time.
I'm loving it, man. I can't wait to. I'm so jazzed to get there. I look forward to it so much. Matt Peterson's put together a great card, as always. Going to be so much fun. It's what I love to do more than anything.
Awesome. All right. Well, that'll do it for Greg, Garrett, and Mike. I am Ryan. We will see you guys next time.